Welcome back to Don't Forget Your Flashlight. We're your hosts, Gabriel.
Are we supposed to say our names too?
Mhm.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Casey.
Talking about the creepy and unseen, everything, that we find interesting or just weird or downright horrible. So, let's jump right into it. Today's episode is titled The Crawl Space. The line between home safety paranoia and every renter's worst nightmare. As you listen, ask yourself, how well do you really know the empty spaces of your own house? Back in 2019, for all intents and purposes, names and locations have been changed for the story I found. So in 2019, a woman named Lydia, she was a 29-year-old graphic designer, leased a shabby little house just outside Portland, Oregon. It was the cheapest place within commuting distance of her new job. The elderly landlord was pleasant enough, but during the walkthrough, he offered two odd rules. Keep the attic door locked and never open the crawl space panel in the hallway. Now, real quick, I just want to ask you guys, if you were renting a place and they're like, hey, something like that, does that seem weird, or is that just okay, you're renting the space, keep it private?
I would ask why.
You would ask why?
Yeah, 100%.
I won't lie. I rented it was a small old house. You remember it, Bennett Street. On the very top floor, there was a door that went into the attic. It was a part of the wall, and the wall actually slid open, and you could go into the attic. And something about that was just so creepy because the way it slid open, it drug along the floor, and then you'd kind of
also
just
it had
in.
wet basements. And wet basements are so fucking creepy.
What's a wet basement?
Yeah, dude. Because you hear the sump pump kick on.
It's where
okay, gotcha.
If you have heavy rain and stuff, the basement will
it'll
actually hold water.
Yeah, so everything in the basement's on a platform. The washer dryer, they had a fridge down there on a platform. The water heater, everything was on platforms to keep it off the water.
My sister's house that she was renting in Columbia, in the closet had the typical the carpet lifted up, like a panel like that, lifted up, which is what I'm assuming was like this, and that led down into that was the way to get into the crawl space. And I was like, that's terrifying, because if you're in your bed right here and your closet's in front of you and you see the opening to the underneath of the floor, you know what I mean? That would be terrifying.
I've got two stories. So back on that old house, so the actual basement was creepy too, because the side door, because no one used the front door. The front door was super awkward. The side door was by the carport, so you'd go through the side door. It had a big glass window, right? No blinds, just a big glass window in the door. And so when you walked up, you could see straight down the dark hallway to the basement. Or if you were in the basement, you could see straight up outside. I'm like, this is the creepiest. Someone's going to be standing there one day and I'm going to shit my pants.
Yeah, on either way. Either you're gonna,
I was like, if I walk up and see someone
in your house and see a shadow figure, or you're gonna be in the basement looking out and see a shadow figure.
Yep. And then
absolutely,
or the mailman just casually standing there and still shit your pants.
As a kid, I hated it too. As a kid, I remember we had, I don't know if we'd bought a house or rented a house for the summer or something, because we didn't live there long, but it was a house in Branson, and I think we rented it for the summer or something. But so the crawl space, there was an access to the crawl space outside, right? I fucking hated this house. There was like most houses, like Casey's has access to the crawl space outside of his house. But then there was an interior access, and my room that they gave me, it was in the closet, but it wasn't under the carpet. It was you could see a little trap door that you could lift up, and I would just lay in bed and stare at it, dude. Just be like, okay, so anyone could just come outside through the outside part of it and walk through the crawl space and pop up into the house. And I was like, I hate this.
Correct.
I absolutely hate this.
Disturbing.
One more night and you would have died.
Yeah, probably. All right, so back to Lydia.
Hey, real quick, we should probably thank everybody for, watching, liking, subscribing, following us on Spotify, YouTube, all that jazz, little call to action. Sorry to interrupt you. Continue on with your story.
Now back to Lydia. All right, so first week passes.
Let me interrupt you real quick. Just want to say I love you guys.
You too.
All right,
I love you too, buddy.
Real quick though, would you sign a lease though? No, I think I would. I mean, it wouldn't bother me if the homeowner or wanted certain space, because I don't know what they keep in that. I'm renting it. Am I renting? Especially if it was disclosed to me, that's not part of the.
Well, if I didn't own the house, I wouldn't care, I guess, that much, because when I rented houses, I've always rented houses. I've never used the attic for anything. I might use it for storage, but even then, I'm not half time. I don't want to get up in there, because usually, most of the time, it's a weird, that last house, it was different, but most houses we rented, it's one of those drawstrings in the garage, and then that ladder falls down. You got to climb up it, and I don't want to carry stuff up that ladder. It's just tall enough.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say is, I think it depends. If they said they didn't want me going through there because they have their own stuff in the house that they use for fixing up the house whenever there's no tenants, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But if they're
That's
like,
what I was
hey,
thinking.
Yeah.
if they're like, hey, don't open this, I can't tell you why because you won't believe me or something like that, I'd be like, well, now you're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to.
Now I
just
need
tell
to
me.
know the full details. That's fair.
Like, there's a crucifix, not a crucifix. There's a pentagram on the back of the panel. You're gonna have to tell me what's up.
Why are there chains on this door? It's like, don't worry about it.
So I've noticed it's salted and irons on all of the.
Oh hell no! I'd be like, no. I'm good.
He's also told me there's regularly gonna be a priest that's gonna stop by.
Once a month.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to like tell me some shit.
What if they didn't tell you about that and a priest did just show up at your house? He was like,
He's like, I'm here for my monthly meeting.
He's like, hi, I'm Father Gabriel.
He was doing it as like he was doing it as like I'm just going door to door to, praise the word of God. And as he's standing there, he's saying like a little prayer to your house. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, just, if you want to come to our church. And then the next month he shows up, it's like, bro, I don't want to go to your church. He's like, just give me a minute. You okay, bye. I'd be like,
now you probably won't die.
Yeah,
Probably.
like,
It'd be better if you let me in the house, though.
All right. First week passes in a blur, unpacking late, video calls with friends, and then Lydia starts noticing some irregularities, like couch cushions that were subtly rearranged. Again, she's the only person living in this small little house, right? So she's noticing the couch cushions look a little disheveled, that she didn't leave them, like mugs that she hadn't used from her pantry that were now on the counter in the sink, right? Like, and then she noticed like just inconvenient things, like her phone charger would be misplaced or just in outlets that she didn't leave it in or didn't remember, writing off most of it to exhaustion because late nights, unpacking, moving to a new area, all that stuff, until noises started. She started hearing faint scratching under the floorboards at around 2 a.m. And she also swore she would hear a slow, measured like sound of someone inhaling and exhaling. Breaths that weren't hers, clearly, because she's the only one in the house.
in her defense,
I am firing rounds through the floor.
I feel like as a person, we always want it to be the least likely thing. So I feel like in our mind, you tell yourself, it's just an animal. You think it's probably not an animal, but you're just like, it's just an animal. It's just an animal. There's something in my crawl space. I just got to get the critter out.
What would you rather have under your floorboards?
A fucking animal.
No, a person or a bear?
Bear.
Ooh.
Yeah,
a bear.
I think a bear.
I would call animal control.
A bear,
on this show.
as long as I'm not fucking with it, I'm going to call animal control and I'm going to stay the hell away. But like a person, what are you doing in my crawl space?
What's your intention,
there
bro?
have been cases where bears have hibernated under porches and under houses. Like they got into it and they hibernated.
Just wake
That's
up
fine.
and spring the bears like,
I'd be like, bro's just sleeping. We're good.
Yeah, like a bear's intentions.
He's hibernating for the winter. He's just sleeping. We're good.
Yeah,
and I'm not one of those people that you're going to see on social media where I'm like recording myself like, oh, there's a bear. Let me go up to it because all bears are friendly. It's like, no, that's a bear. It's a bear.
It's a 600-pound grizzly bear. I'm good.
I'm going to stay away from
in this
it and
scenario,
hope it doesn't
either
come
way,
after me.
I'm probably walking up to my crawl space door with a gun.
I have a large glass door here. Any bear is knocking this door off its frames.
Yeah.
I mean, bears weigh enough. Their body weight alone, if they just if they slam into it.
I mean, it's a manufactured home, bro.
I know, but I mean, like, you maybe have black bears there.
Grizzlies? No, I don't think we have it.
Ain't black
No,
bears
you definitely
like
don't have grizzlies. But I don't even know if you have.
I don't know bears.
I don't even know if you have black bears.
I don't know.
But aren't black bears like dude? Even if a 500-pound black bear, if it shoulder checked his door, it'd probably take it down with his body weight.
Yeah, but what I mean is black bears are typically pretty skittish.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd much rather go across a black bear versus a
some,
polar or grizzly bear.
Steroid abusing, hyper aggressive black bear, yeah.
Cocaine bear.
If you had cocaine bear,
It was a black bear that got cocaine.
Was it a black bear?
I believe it was.
I thought it was a grizzly.
It might have been a grizzly. I said the movie.
Well, I know in the movie it's supposed
bear.
to be a grizzly. I don't know in the actual story.
We're talking about Linda and her crawl space.
Yeah.
All right, back to Lydia.
That's not
and her crawl
dirty.
space.
I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry,
fine.
Linda.
All right. So, as far as she could tell, it sounded like the breathing was coming from the hallway, but she never would get up because of, the fear of it. One night while laying in bed, she swore she heard the crawl space open. After that, she bought herself one of those like motion detector cameras, and set it up in the hallway to watch the crawl space panel.
I feel like that would make it worse.
Can I just say one thing real quick before you continue? I was thinking about it because you talked about moving stuff, and I'm like, this is a horrible scenario because we've all lived with someone, and you can chalk it up to them moving something. But when you're by yourself, there's no one to there's no one to chalk it up to.
It would really mess with your mind, thinking, especially if you're tired, you're in a new area, you're at a new home, that's what I'm saying. Like hours, and then you're like, wait, I didn't leave I use that cup? Like, what?
When you and I lived together, Casey, I could just be like, oh, Casey probably moved it, or like maybe he grabbed it and took it with him or something. But if I'm by myself, I'm like, Okay, that's gone. I didn't touch it.
What would freak me out is probably the couch cushions. Because I forget drink cups all the time. I can go days and I'm like, oh, I have a cup on my counter for like 3 days. That
I don't know. You said charger though, and I don't move my charger. Like my charger's always right next to my bed because I plug it in at night. That'd be a weird one.
But I still think the couch cushions would be weird for me because only my cat hangs around my house because my dogs own their kennels.
Like the most that my dogs could do is maybe knock a cushion off by jumping off, but then it's right next to the couch. Like I don't know how far it's moved.
Yeah, but so yeah, would you set up a camera?
Probably. I've got cameras on my house anyway.
Okay.
Probably.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Casey's got a full-blown security system. He'd probably know before they did.
I'm paranoid as shit, man.
Then have fun. Okay, so the following night at 2:14 a.m., her phone gets a ping about the motion.
Wait, what time? It's 2 p.m. or a.m.?
2:14 a.m.
No,
the following night.
Don't
like in the morning. A motion detector goes off. She checks it. She watches the crawl space door nudge open from the inside of the crawl space. And what she described as a figure on all fours emerged from the crawl space. Like a humanoid figure, but it was moving around on all fours. Now, at this point, she said fuck it and did the smart thing. She grabbed her apparently her keys, her cat, like out and left, returning the following morning with police. The house was empty. There's nothing there, right?
It's always empty.
House is empty. Yet when they examined the crawl space, there was a ripped up sleeping bag, dozens of photos of Lydia, most of which were taken while she was appearing to be sleeping.
Ew.
And several crusted stains on and around the photos, which were confirmed to be semen, but they did not match any DNA testing.
Hell yeah.
I will say in this scenario,
dude.
I don't know how she left the house, but I promise you, if that was in the hallway, I'm not going down the hallway. I'm going out my bedroom window.
Yeah.
I'm going out the window.
I would assume because she just grabbed like what was there and dipped. Like,
yeah, I would have gone out the window.
Can you access the crawl space from outside?
I feel like most houses
I don't know about
have
this
that.
one.
I'm trying to figure out how he would have got in.
Do you have access to your crawl space in your house or just outside?
Mine?
I also don't know. I think it changed with renovations. I don't know how the house was designed.
I was like, my crawl space you can only get to from outside. So if somebody was under there, I wouldn't even know about it. I mean, I could hear him or whatever, but there's only one way in, one way out. And if there's somebody under my crawl space and he's not supposed to be there, when he tries to come out, there's going to be a silver circle. He's going to be looking down the barrel of a silver circle.
Would you be flattered if he had sleeping pictures of you that he jerked off to?
He would have a fucking circle wherever that gun was pointed.
And that's fair. But I'm also going to give this woman the benefit of the doubt of it crawled out on all fours, and she, feeling that getting out was the best option.
Yeah, let's say you're not married, Casey.
So, hang on.
Let's say you're
horror
living by
movies
yourself.
start because they decide not to run. It's like the smartest move at this moment would be to leave.
So I'm gonna assume the story is based on some kind of reality, correct?
Again, internet. I don't know.
They say all four. I'm imagining a dude. Like obviously, I want to imagine like a guy like doing the fucking like animal walk where he's got his, the are on the ground. But in reality, if it's just a dude, it just sounds like it's just a fucking pervert. Like he's crawling on his hands and knees. Not his hands and feet.
I was picturing like a Repo reference where like the lemon head dude that crawls on all fours. I was picturing something like that crawling out of
like either way, just seeing the panel open. You're in your bed. You're checking it's 2:14. The ping goes off. You're like,
you got to think too because you just woke up. You're groggy. You're like
looking at it, and then you just see the panel move, and then you just see something start crawling out. Regardless how it's coming out, it's just coming out. Like the fear and panic inside of me would just be like, but I'd be grabbing an axe. Like,
I'd be terrified to move for a minute. I'd be laying in bed just like, I don't want to get up, but I need to.
And I'm gonna get to that panel and swing at it before it can fully get out of the panel.
Yeah. You know what's kind of
what
unfortunate
a poor design
is like men will typically have some way to defend themselves, whether it be a gun, a knife, a bat, mace, whatever. Women don't typically have that.
I beg to differ. I say because of the fact that most men have this illogical theory that they could take on anything to some degree. I feel like a lot of guys have illogical theories that we could win most fights. I think most women have an understanding that because women get, I don't want to get too deep in political, but like more women I know carry mace. They carry, stuff like that with them. Like they regularly have something to protect themselves and defend themselves.
And like policemen will tell you this, like they'll tell you to be careful as a woman because as bad as it sounds, statistically you are targeted the most because you are considered weaker.
Well, yeah,
I'm not saying you are,
but
but statistically that's what they say.
Like Michael's girlfriend, like I believe she's packing 100% of the time, but I think that's just part of her upbringing. But I think most of the time, like Christine, for example, I mean, she grew up in Chicago for a little bit, and then she moved to like the Ozarks, but she never was like indoctrinated with the thought that she had to have some way to defend herself. Like she didn't buy even mace or a taser until I made her. Like she was going to Kansas City for a weekend, and I made her buy those things because that didn't even cross her mind.
I will. Go ahead. I will say, in most scenarios, like whether a woman has a gun, has a weapon, has taken like some self-defense classes, martial arts, whatever. At the end of the day, just like any other human, if you put them in a scenario where they have to fight for their life, fight or flight, that adrenaline is going to kick in, and they will probably surprise you.
Yeah, I agree with that, but still,
I understand her. Regardless of this story is true or not, this the need to want to get out to protect yourself, totally valid. Get out of there.
No, and honestly, I agree with
whatever
I am 100%
it is
on board with what she did.
I was gonna say it's situational, like, so, and you can even say this about horror movies, like, because you watch a horror movie, like, why are you doing that, like, in your mind, because you're telling the guy who's stupidly going to fight back. There's that scenario where it's like sometimes it's better to run, and sometimes it's better to, you have to fight, otherwise you're gonna die. But it's like in the scenario of like not knowing what this person's packing, and if you don't have a weapon, this guy could have a gun climbing out of your door. What, you're gonna rush him with a knife? He'll probably shoot you before you get near him. So I feel like in this scenario, running might have been the best.
I mean, I think it was a fine decision either way.
Yeah.
Back to Linda. Sorry.
Back to Lydia.
Lydia. That's what I said.
Yeah, you've said Linda like twice now.
Lydia. All right. So that's where the story concludes. They never found anything. Again, she left. She did not end up coming back. So what do you guys think? Do you think it was just a human squatter? Do you think it was something stranger? I mean,
squatter.
What if it was a weird scenario where it was the house owner that thought she was cute, and because he knew the house, he could get in? Although I guess he'd probably have keys to the house.
That did cross. Actually, what crossed my mind was a previous tenant. Like maybe they were upset about getting evicted, or they had nowhere to go, and they decided to go in the crawl
I'm also
space.
picturing like a weird ex-boyfriend kind of thing. Like she broke up with him, he couldn't get over her, or like was too hyper fixated, and like
I feel like with an
stalking.
ex-boyfriend or ex-lover or whatever, I feel like they're more likely to do like daylight stalking.
This is a kind of about this now, but it's a different story. There was a story? Did you hear the story of the guy who
went? Your dog scared the shit out of me. All
I
saw was
when he was adjusting,
mask, like
when he was
like
adjusting,
crawling up. Yeah, I was like, oh, Michael's dead.
Yeah, no, because of that, I would not be dead. He would absolutely let me know something's behind me. No, so there was a guy who was overly obsessed with his girlfriend that they had broken up. She had gotten a restraining order, right? He underwent 37 different plastic surgeries to change his appearance to redate her because she didn't recognize him. He even changed his voice.
How strange is that? Because that's one of those things where it's like...
Well, here's the thing. They dated. He got back together with her. They dated. She didn't know until one of the friends was like, he's got a lot of the same mannerisms as your last boyfriend. And then they found out, and he went to prison for violating the restraining order and one other charge. I can't remember.
So disturbing.
A fraud, impersonating someone because he changed his identity and everything.
That's so disturbing. That's like, what was it? The story of Mrs. Doubtfire, right? With Robin Williams.
Yeah.
People were like,
essentially the same idea.
People be like, how did she not know that it was Robin Williams? Blah blah. And someone was like, claiming that the 80-year-old British woman who's babysitting your kids is also your husband in disguise is something you don't say unless you're like 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
so
let's say you accuse the woman of that and she was just an 80-year-old British housemaid. It's like, where do you go from there? I'd be like, I'm done working for you.
Yeah, you can't come back from that.
Help is on the way, dear.
Help is on the way.
So yeah, same idea, but he didn't wear a costume or like a suit to disguise himself. He legit did plastic surgery and changed his look.
That's creepy. That's weird. That's disgusting.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, like,
this whole time, I was wearing a mask.
And like,
you've been wearing it forever, style, then, bro.
Take the mask off.
Yeah, like all through high school, it was just an evolving mask.
I would ask how your mask has facial hair, because
I'm actually a twin of Gabe,
brother.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be upset.
It's you. Wait, how are you born so many days after me then?
It's a lie too. My birth is a lie.
We have the same birthday? That's fine. I'm happy.
I'm thinking of some weird ass scenario where Gabe was born and then they're like, Yeah, the twin's not coming out for like at least another 10 days.
Yeah, this one got stuck. It's a little bit
They got
bigger.
stuck. It needs time to marinate a little longer.
Jesus.
All right. So another question I have: Why lock the Why was the attic locked? I mean, did
So
the owner
landlord said to
know
keep it
something was
locked,
creepy?
right? Wait,
I'm
did the landlord
happy-
say to
The
lock
landlord,
it?
when she rented it, like said, keep out of the crawl space and keep out of the attic.
But it's definitely the landlord.
See, there's something in the attic then. I will say, I'm happy that she moved out, like she just left, because I was really kind of worried this was going to go in the scenario where she's like, well, night 2, I put this heavy chest I have on the crawl space so no one can pop
say,
up.
like, nail a board to the ground.
Something like, oh, I took care of it. Like, no, get out of the house.
Bring in a welder to weld the doors shut.
Nah.
Another question I have is, how did they get the photos? Like, because to print off photos, you got to go
Also, it was like a
somewhere, right?
Polaroid.
You know,
Nah,
imagine being
Polaroid
like
camera.
the Walmart employee who's. I guess no, it's all automated now. They don't.
Polaroid cameras, bro.
Yeah, you can take a picture and it'll print it out right there, and you just gotta like flap it to activate it.
Yeah.
I was thinking of back when I was still thinking when we were.
Where he's got this whole operation in a crawl space that you can
he's
only
gotta flap it.
No, you're sitting on your knees in the crawl space. He's got a whole blacklight room down there, and he's just developing.
He's flapping
the
it.
Photos.
He's flapping it.
That's the sound she's hearing. It's just the photo.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's having sex. It's like, no, I'm developing a picture.
She could hear him flapping it.
So weird.
But
I like the idea that
flapping is totally normal, dude. You gotta flap it sometimes.
I don't.
If you want that clear development, you gotta flap it.
I don't appreciate what you're implying here.
What? It's a Polaroid. How else are you gonna get the picture to develop properly? You gotta flap it.
It's the innuendo you're implying with the tone and how you're saying.
I don't even know what innuendo means.
I will say this has probably scarred her because it would be hard for me to rent from places. Like I'd probably rent like I am now an apartment on the 4th floor, so it's like no one can really get to me unless you go through my door or you have a really big ladder, I guess.
Not true. Your apartment definitely has a crawl space, or not crawl space, but like attic entrance.
Oh yeah, it's literally like outside above my neighbor's door.
Oh, it's outside.
It's in the hallway.
Yeah. So like outside on like the entryway. Like right above the staircase, there's a door, but you need a ladder because it's on the stairs, so it's like you can't just reach up and grab it because it's not like they didn't put it level with like the entryway because then you probably could if you were tall enough.
That's fair.
You got to go over the stairwell.
Yep.
Fuck that.
Yeah, there was an interesting design because in my mind I'm like, okay, so you're putting it up against the wall, climbing up, getting into it, and then from inside you're looking down and you can see straight down the middle of the stairway to the bottom of the concrete.
Yeah,
I'd be
you're
like,
looking
nah.
down four floors. No thanks.
Yeah, I'd be like, dude, I'm not that big a fear of heights, but I'd probably be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I would definitely be harnessed in.
But yeah, no. So yeah, my whole situation of renting would change. Like it would have to be something like that where I'm the highest one up. So you're not getting to me without like a ladder.
So what did Lydia do after this?
She left.
Like, is that like
she
didn't return?
She gathered her shit and she left.
She never went back.
I would fight.
She went back with the police and apparently like grabbed her stuff and then left. And that was where the story ends. And that's where I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of sad. That I'm glad. Best case scenario, got out of there. But
I promise you though, I would fight for my deposit and my money back. I would be like, I'm not paying you a dime for this.
Absolutely.
Is that the whole story right there?
That was it. It was just a small little creepy thing. And it was just weird to think someone could be inside of your crawl space, you know?
Dude, I actually had a thought too.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, you've seen those videos and I think it happens. I don't know. I see it a lot with other countries where people are like they sneak in or they have like and you see like the home cameras where people are like literally living inside someone else's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they sneak out like that clearly does happen where you have other people living inside of your house.
There was
without you knowing about it.
There was
it would be very easy to do that in my house.
There's 2 stories that come to mind when you say that. There's a Forensic File episode that my sister and I watched when we were younger where a guy, they had an apartment, right? And like the attic, every apartment had access to the attic. So it was a shared attic basically, right? So once you got up in there, you could access anyone's room in this apartment. So this guy had crawled down and had actually like opened the door and jumped into like his adjacent neighbor's apartment, and he came in when she was sleeping, and I guess he found her very attractive, and he like took pictures and I guess potentially jerked off to him. And then when she woke up and found him, he proceeded to murder her. That's why it was on Forensic Files. But
that seems like a little bit of an overreaction.
Yeah. And then there was another one where I don't know if it was a true story, but I remember reading it. But there was one where a guy was living. I want to say it was in the walls or in the attic, and every time the people would leave to go to work and stuff, he would come down. He didn't bother them, didn't mess with them. He just didn't want. He couldn't afford to live on his own. He couldn't afford anything, so he I guess he had found a way to get into this house, and he had just lived there for, dude, I want to say it was like something ridiculous, like 20 years before they caught him. But he had lived rent-free in the attic, and he would just come down when they went to work, and he would just get some food, kind of do his
I think I've
daily
heard of that story
routine,
too.
and then he
Where would these people go to the bathroom? They would use the bathrooms at the house?
yeah, they'd use the bathroom in the house when
Just
they had
train your
left for
bladder
work.
to hold it until.
So pretty much they would do their daily routine while they were at work. So and then he knew what their schedule was, obviously observing them because he could hear them. He'd go up to the attic and then they'd come back, and I guess he made one mistake one time where he made noise, and that's the reason they found him. But at the same time, it's like, I remember they pressed charges because they were upset and scared. But at the end of the day, it's like he was probably the most polite out of anyone that could do it because he cleaned up after himself, so no one knew he was there. So your house was always still the way you left it. He basically just ate your food because he needed something to eat, and then he pretty much used your bathroom and shower. But he didn't do anything mischievous with the attendants. Yeah. He just was like, I couldn't afford to live, so I just happened to find a way in here and just continued to live here.
Was he using their stuff?
Probably. I mean, obviously, he'd use their oven and stuff to cook or microwave or something.
Oh, he was full on living.
Yeah, bro.
He gets his mail at their house too, and he just sneaks out when the post gets there, grabs his letters, and then sneaks.
I don't think he was doing that, but
like if he's cooking food, I'm just being like, he would do the dishes and everything. He'd probably eat like once, maybe twice a day.
Yeah, he'd pretty much do the dishes. Like he'd clean up out. He made it to where no one knew he was there. Scary thought, right?
Yeah.
Because no one knew he was there for the longest time, and then he just happened to make one mistake in the attic. Like I think he knocked something over, and that's when they questioned it. So they went up and saw his little like house set up behind some of the boxes they stored up there. Because basically he had taken so they had boxes of like Christmas decorations, whatever it was, and he had set up a little like home behind it, like a cot and everything behind it. So even if you just poked your head up there, you wouldn't see him. You'd have to actually go up and look in it.
Imagine throughout the day, he hears them doing their stuff and he's just laying in his cot perfectly still.
You'd have to. You could not make a noise.
This is my life.
What if he was a snorer?
But think about it. You're rent free, so I mean,
the house is making some really weird noises.
We need to bring someone out here to inspect this shit. Got a lot of creaking going on.
There's no real benefit to it though. I mean, other than you're not paying rent, but you don't have any income, so you're not saving money. You're just literally living in someone's house.
You're existing in someone's house, going through the pantry ooh, they got this week.
It's like, oh thank God.
That's the cool thing about the society we live in.
They finally got ham. I'm so tired of turkey.
If life gets I feel like if things start to go bad for somebody, they just perpetually get worse and worse. Like if you lose your job, you lose your house or whatever. If you lose your house, you lose your address. If you lose your address, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah,
you have to have that to get employment. If you become homeless, you become unemployable.
Not necessarily, but it does become much more difficult to become employable.
Yeah, but you might as well just call yourself unemployable because you don't have an address. You could get a P.O. box.
Well, I was going to say, you could get...
Well, I think that discredits a lot of people that don't have an actual address but still work.
You could have You could probably use a homeless shelter as an address because it's still a physical location.
I don't know if
I don't know how that works, but there's got to be some sort of system because there are programs and systems to try to help.
I think you'd really have to.
But yes,
I mean, you would have to try so hard.
Society really hits you hard when it hits.
Yeah, I think your best option if you were homeless, if you could pay whatever monthly cost it is for a PO box, then I think you could skirt around the not having an address because you could just put your PO box down.
I will say,
and then you could get.
How do you get an ID? Because don't IDs require you to have a physical address?
PO box. But I think you have to have an ID to get a PO box.
Put a PO box on a. I don't think you can put a PO box on a ID.
You absolutely can put a PO box on your address. I'm pretty sure when I was in the Marine Corps in Arizona and I switched over to an Arizona driver's license, they put the PO box on my address because my PO box was for the base.
It's pretty much just a place for them to send information to you. So yeah, so if you could get a PO box, you could restart your life.
So do we think this guy was homeless?
PO box is restarting your lives.
Or do we think this guy was just a creep who was just living just trying to be close to her?
I mean, I don't know. I think he was probably the landlord of the. Maybe it was have you seen some of those Airbnbs where the homeowner has a secret room that they live in while they rent out their house
really
for
creepy.
the Airbnb? What if it was something like that? Like he owned the house and he was renting the house out, but he lived in the house.
His 2 rooms are the attic and the crawl space.
Yeah.
Make me uncomfortable. Make me so uncomfortable.
There's like a secret ladder tunnel.
Like the old school houses where you could like literally fit between the walls, and he's got his own like ladder system that goes, yep.
Dude, that creeps me out, by the way. The idea of like that gap between the walls
Yeah.
creeps me out.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was kind of cool. Like, you ever seen the episode of Bob's Burger where he gets stuck in the wall? Yeah. I'm like, oh, dude, that looks so cool.
Yeah, until some random stranger's crawling through your walls.
You're getting strapped.
And then it's weird.
Laughing, snoring, all while you're
then it's uncomfortable. Yeah, then it's uncomfortable.
You're sleeping, just your farts. That you look at your cat like that wasn't.
I'm like, God damn, babe.
I was gonna say, you're just like,
take a
hey,
shit.
Babe, what the fuck?
You've been blaming your animals for the farts the whole time, and it was the person living in your wall.
You just hear a fart, and you hear a really quiet, excuse me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you hear that, sorry.
I think my house is leaking methane, or it's getting the rotten egg sulfur smell. Like,
honey, we should move.
Yeah, that is the story I had brought. I think it was probably just some creep being weird. I don't know if it was related to even the renter or the owner of it, the person living in the crawl space. I don't even know if those 2 things were related, because it could have just been, hey, don't get in the crawl space because you have no reason as a renter to get into the crawl space. But then someone else was already in the crawl space. You know what I mean?
Well, most crawl spaces have like access to like plumbing and stuff, piping.
Yeah.
So it's like you wouldn't need to go in there anyway. So it'd be like, hey man, just like I don't really want you down there messing anything up. If you like hit a pipe or something and like cause a leak, please don't go down there.
Yeah, like I would just be like, if you think something's wrong, call
your piping.
I will say real quick.
I'll call you.
Put
for my piping.
Both of you in the scenario of like the renter. Like this is your house you're renting out, right? If your tenant told you this, how likely are you to go in your crawl space to check?
I'd be making sure no one can get into the crawl space after this.
No, I'll do what all the landlords do, and I'll say, yeah, I'll be there within the week, and I'll just never show up.
Because like in my mind, I'm like, now I've got to go in there and look.
Yeah, I'll leave one of those FedEx things like, sorry, we missed
you.
Missed you.
It's like the time is 5 minutes from now. What?
Sorry, missed you. She flips it around. It's like, I don't want to go in there.
Like, I'm not going in there.
Like, it's just a phone number to a priest.
I would absolutely call you guys if I owned a property and this happened. I'd be like, hey, I need both of you to come with me to look into this crawl space. I can't do this by myself.
I'm bringing my battle axe.
What I imagine happening is Michael texts me and be like, I need you to help me look at this girl's crawl space. And I'll be like, bro, that's wildly inappropriate. I will not do that with you.
Also,
that's how I imagine that conversation going, Michael.
That seems accurate.
I lean with Gabe in the thought, because I think Gabe said something. If I'm this woman, one, I'll probably never trust a crawl space. I'll probably never not think about that house. But there'd also be a small part of me be like, what was in the attic now? Because the crawl space, there was a guy. Like, what's in the attic now? And that'd probably live with me for a little while.
Another guy.
Dude, there's 2 guys living in this house. One in the attic, one in the crawl
They're polite. They're super nice. They're like, oh, hi, good morning. I made you coffee.
They're both perverts, but super nice to each other. Like, hey, did you get that photo last night? It's like, oh, yeah, dude, I beat my meat to it real good.
Yeah, they're nice to each other. Hey, did you get the photo I sent through the
I dropped it through the floorboard. Did you catch it? Dropped it through the crack in the floorboard. Did you get it?
I'm not commenting on that.
Oh, that'd be wild to find out.
Why?
Just 2 dudes living in this house rent-free.
Because at the end of the day, that would still be someone getting photos taken of them while they were asleep. And
it's super
we don't know if there's any
inappropriate.
validity to this story.
Still,
anyway.
it happens. It happens.
If that scenario happened, I would still.
Well, no, I feel like
call me a monster.
Women getting taken advantage of,
Yeah, that's horrible. But I'm just saying, if there was 2 guys at a house and they were like sharing pictures with each other,
I will not entertain that
they
thought.
knew that.
Wildly inappropriate, but I will say, I just picture these 2 dudes now. I'm picturing Casey renting this house, and these 2 dudes are taking photos of him. He's like, dude, did you see that guy's tiny dick?
Like, I sent you a picture of it. Be like, is that what that is?
I thought I was looking at a peanut on my floor.
I thought it was a shag carpet, man.
This story becomes way different if it was a dude renting this house.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot different.
It's way funnier now. Did you imagine just me like renting this house and there's 2 dudes in the crawl space and the attic? Dude, this would be a hilarious sitcom. A hilariously horrible sitcom.
On Adult Swim as a
cartoon,
cartoon, I approve. That's the only version I would approve of this story.
It goes on for like 3 seasons,
like MTV or Adult Channel.
Seasons.
Some comedy, some cartoon. It's going to be a male protagonist for that to be funny.
Well, yeah,
it would be.
You can't do a female.
It'd be me. And like for 2 seasons, both these guys are taking pictures at night, sharing it with each other. And then only at the end of the second season, they find out I'm actually a dude because, with the long hair, the thick ass, they're confused.
This is like some weird dating show where it's like...
This is taking
that's where I was going. No, wait. I know it has. It's horrible. This is totally like out of context. But anyway, at the end of the second season, all right, the two guys in the attic and the crawl space, right, they fall in love because they realize now they're gay. So they kill me at the end of second season. The third season.
Oh my god, that's the end of the show. They move out and get married and start a new life at another house.
Yeah,
it works.
Oh my god, this is.
It's an Adult Swim sitcom. Okay,
please keep all this in. This is funny.
We probably should wrap this up though.
Yeah.
We've gone so far for the original plot.
Okay, real quick. Back to the story real quick. We got to end on the story. What would you do?
I'm glad Lydia got out.
God, what's a good question?
Safe.
What would you do in this scenario, I guess? Like, what?
No more questions. We just derail.
We just gone so far.
I was bringing it back to it for like the end.
There's no roadmaps anymore.
I was bringing it back to it for the end.
When Casey started talking about the attic pervert.
The greatest sitcom in the world? Yeah, you're right.
How about a UK version of this idea come up?
Anyway, thanks for joining us today, guys. We really do appreciate it. Gabe, your story, you got any final closing thoughts for us?
Just be safe.
And Lydia, if you're listening to this, Casey's P.O. Box is 30256. Send him some mail.
West Manchester, Maine.
None of that's real.
Send it.
San Diego, West Virginia.
Cali, Florida.
San Diego.
And as always, don't forget your flashlight.